Good evening. Welcome to the Danvers Conservation Commission meeting for September the 24th, 2024. We operate as a commission, we operate under the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Chapter 26 of the Town of Danvers General Bylaw, the Wetlands Protection Bylaw. After each applicant presents his or her request, and the board has had time to ask questions and discuss the project, we will accept questions from the audience. Because this is a public meeting, it is required by law that you give your name and address before you speak. Although we may disagree on the issues raised, all persons present during this meeting are expected to be civil to all other meeting attendees. This includes members of the commission, staff, abutters, concerned citizens, property owners, and project applicants. We also request that you confine your questions to the project and only as it pertains to the Wetlands Act. We cannot handle, nor do we have jurisdiction over matters such as noise or traffic. All problems not related to the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Danvers Wetlands Protection Bylaw must be taken up with the other appropriate boards. Moving on to our agenda, first order of business is a roll call. Peter Wilson is present. Lorraine Drapek.
Present.
Jonathan Garius. Mary Haight.
Present.
Michael Splain.
Yeah.
Okay, the first order of business on our agenda is a request for a certificate of compliance for 10 Colantoni Drive, lot number 7, DEP file number 14-1333. The applicant is Beaverbrook Woods, LLC. Is someone here to represent the applicant?
Good evening, John Colantoni. We just want to close out this order of conditions on lot 7. We have done nothing on the lot whatsoever in regard to what was originally approved, so we would just like to close those out.
Was there an order of conditions and then they just didn't do any work?
Correct. The house hasn't gotten built yet, so that, but there is still a number of conditions that would go in perpetuity as part of the order, and that's staff is recommending that those stay in place. But staff can confirm that no work occurred on site and that they deserve a closeout.
So if we close it out, what's the effect of that?
So we can still keep these conditions in perpetuity per the order of conditions, and then the next applicant that comes in to build that house, whenever they do, then you'll go through that. They'll go through that process.
And what might make the commission feel even more comfortable is we'll be building the house, and we won't, now that the easement, the right-of-way easement has been moved, officially, which is, as you guys were involved in that way back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll be able to build a house and be out of the 200-foot buffer.
Out of our jurisdiction?
Out altogether, yes.
Well,
I think, if the owners eventually wanted to build a deck or do something, they could come back to do that.
was this a subdivision of a number of lots?
Beaverbrook.
Yeah.
Beaverbrook Woods, yeah.
Yeah, so are they released one at a time, or?
I think they've all been pretty much done by
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
all
This
done?
is the last one.
Last one? Okay. Yeah, fine.
All right, so do we need to read through each of these conditions, or can we just say?
You could say according to the memo, if you rather than having to read a whole page. Yes, you can certainly do that
And-
according to the 10/24/24 staff memo.
So we are presuming that an NOI is going to come back in the near future.
Well, not if he's
Not if
out
they
of
don't
our
need it.
jurisdiction.
No, as it looks now, we won't have to come back with NOI. We probably won't have to bother you again. I think we're going to be able to do everything outside of that 200-foot riverfront area, and that's what we're going to try to do. Of course, if we find that we can't, or we have to go a little into it, like the original
You'll be back.
approval was, we'll come back.
Okay, good. Good to hear. I have no other questions. Mike, you have any
No.
further? Lorraine, no?
No.
Mary, no? Okay, someone can make a motion, and just, when we make the motion, just refer to these conditions per the memo.
I'll make a motion. I make a motion for the request for certificate of compliance of 10 Colantoni Drive, Lot 7, DEP file number 14-1333. The applicant's Beaverbrook Woods LLC, according to everything listed in these conditions in perpetuity per order of the conditions as listed.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
thank you very much. I just want to thank Brian and the staff. They've been very helpful walking us through the process, because it's been a long one. So, but thank you very much.
Okay, good luck. Next up is a request for a certificate of compliance for 6 Tibbetts Ave, DEP file number 14-1371. The applicant is Stephen Guaracino and Barbara Ennis. And they're here to represent themselves.
Yes. I am Stephen Guaracino, live at 6 Tibbetts Ave.
I'm Barbara Enos. I live at 6 Tibbetts Ave.
And we've gone through and had the engineer certify that we had built the property, built the garage as stated.
Okay, and staff has been out to visit the
Yep.
site?
Yeah.
We've been out, no issues whatsoever. It was built exactly according to plan. Oh, sorry. No, I take that back. There was one change that did occur on
It's an
site.
as-built, right?
So the staff, we visited the site on October 16th, and we requested the applicant to provide the square footage of the paver walkway that was added. So there was a new paver walkway that was added. However, they are like they're like pervious pavers. But we just wanted to know the square footage of that. That was it. And then just so that the commission is aware that the pavers were not as part of the approved plans.
And how many square feet was this walkway?
It's 88 square feet.
And how does that play into the percentages that we have to deal with?
It's negligible, and also it is pervious. It was just the fact that it wasn't on the plans.
So there was always supposed to be a walkway, it just wasn't,
No, there was no walkway on the plans.
but there should have been.
There
Yeah.
should have been, yeah. And then they like I said, they built a pervious pavers
No, I get it.
walkway.
So the rain go through it.
The rain will go through it.
Yeah.
It was just simply
Yeah.
technically not built to plan. We're just alerting you to
And
that
it's
fact.
on the
and-
as-built.
and it's on the as-built, and we don't have any issues with it.
Yeah, okay.
It was just that it wasn't built to plan.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see that being too big a deal.
No.
Mike, any other questions?
No.
No,
Lorraine?
no questions.
Mary?
No.
Questions? Okay, if someone can make a motion, we'll issue an order, a certificate of compliance.
All right, I'll make a motion, we issue an order of conditions
No,
for
a
6.
certificate of compliance.
Certificate of compliance.
Certificate of compliance, yeah. Oh, did I say order of conditions? Have it. I make a motion that we issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 14-1371, applicants Stephen Guaracino and Barbara Enos. Yeah, that's the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Good
turning the
luck.
project
luck.
around quickly. That's what we
Yeah.
like
Thank you.
to see. Next up, number 3 is a request for certificate of compliance for 37 Roosevelt Ave, DEP file number 14-1413. The applicants are Keith and Deborah Burgess.
Yep.
And they're here tonight?
Good evening.
Hi.
Keith Burgess, 37 Roosevelt Ave.
Deborah Burgess, 37 Roosevelt Ave.
We're just coming for a certificate of compliance. We built the garage. We had so much impervious surfaces that we had to cover. We covered that, what we said we were going to do, and we actually added a little bit more. So
Pervious?
Pervious
Oh,
surface?
pervious.
Pervious. so-
Impervious.
Yeah,
yeah,
porous,
yeah,
porous,
Yeah.
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, staff went out, September, had no concerns then. We recommend issuing a certificate of compliance. No concerns.
Another quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
So we'd like to see what the
Yeah.
message is getting through. Okay, Mike, do you have any questions?
No.
None.
Lorraine?
No.
Mary? No? Okay, if someone can make a motion, we're setting records here tonight. So it's
I'll make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 37 Roosevelt Avenue, DEP number 14-1413.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good luck.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank
good
you.
luck.
Thanks for doing this quickly.
All right. Take care.
The applicant for 7 Doty, Bill Manuel, is actually joining us via Teams, but for some reason, we cannot see. I can see you, Bill, don't worry, I know you're there. But the rest of everyone else can't see it on the screen. Oh, there we go, wonderful. Now at least we can look, we can see your face, Bill, and they can all see you. If you can hear me, why don't you go straight ahead, Bill, whenever you're ready.
All right, hopefully you can hear me. It's an unfamiliar setup for me this evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
can.
right as rain.
Perfect. All right, continued public hearing for 7 Doty Avenue. The applicant just ran out of time on the order of conditions plus a 1-year extension. We did meet at the property. We had certain agreements about the floats that are on the mud. They'd be removed within a year, whether it was finished or not. And but we're looking for a negative determination so that we have some mechanism to begin moving forward again. The project's been shut down for several months now because it just, as I said, there was no permit in place to finish the work. So again, we're seeking a negative determination.
Okay, as far as, I think when we were out at the site visit, Bill, we discussed the timing of the float removal. I'm not so sure we reached an agreement.
Did he say a year? They could get it done in a year?
Yeah, but I just don't have good feelings about this. I mean, I would think that this could be done in a lot shorter time frame. And like I've said before, Bill, my primary motivation is to get those floats off of the mud. So I don't have an objection to giving a negative determination of applicability for finishing the decking. But I can't see leaving those floats on the mud for a year. I mean, I'd be more comfortable getting those out of there in a month or two.
Yeah, I was, can I ask, are you still?
That's my 2 cents. And go ahead now, Mike.
Well, why can't they take those floats out of there and work off a barge or off, without the floats there, and then they're gonna get 3 years after that. Our big thing is getting those up and out of there.
Right. Are you asking me or are you asking
Yeah, I'm
Bill?
asking Bill that.
You all understand. Listen, I don't feel comfortable talking, about Mr. Riebel, Mr. and Mrs. Riebel, and the reasons for being in this situation here over, live television. But anyway, you guys were all at the site meeting. I thought we were under an agreement that maximum 1 year. We obviously endeavor to get this project done as soon as possible, but the time frame of 1 year, absolute drop dead. That's when they would come out, and I don't think we can commit to 1 month. It's a matter of the owner's health. It's a matter of tides. It's a matter of being able to buy the materials, get the materials. This is something he's been doing it himself as opportunities provide themselves, and everybody's going to, at the end of the project, those floats are coming off the mud, but 1 to 2 months is just an unreasonable time frame considering all the circumstances that we talked about at the site walk.
You said at the end of the project, the floats are coming off, but we were saying a year, they'd be off within a year, whether the project's over or not.
That is correct.
On a negative determination, he's still gonna get 3 years, isn't he?
That is true.
That is correct.
And
Yeah, so,
Good.
but if we
Yep.
could say that whether you finish the project, you're building that pier, you'd have to get the floats off within a year.
absolutely, that's
but
that's
my
reasonable.
But no,
recollection of our
I'd
discussion.
like it done sooner, Bill.
Well,
Bill, it's been 4 years since we issued this, and part of the agreement when we agreed to issue that order of conditions was to get those floats off of the mud. So, to give you another up to 3 years it's not going to happen. And from what I'm seeing, why do you need the floats there?
Without the pier finished, the gangway attached, and the existing float realigned to meet the gangway, they needed alternate access to get out to the end float. As soon as the pier can be, the decking on the pier can be finished, then the hardware for attaching the gangway can be installed, and then we could move that float, and then they can start removing that. But it can't be done before everything is done.
From what I saw there the day we visited, I don't understand why you need the floats that are sitting on the mud to continue building that pier.
Mr. Chairman, what if we gave him 11 months to get the floats out, and then he's got his 3 years to finish, but with...
I think 11 months is too long. We've
Well,
given
I
them
think
4
a
years
month's
already.
too short. I mean, I think
All
I'd
right,
get
2 or
that
3
done in a
months.
month.
But I just see a game here where this is just going to go on and on and on. We have to have those floats off of the mud. Like I said, I
Respectfully-
don't see where the floats are important for the construction. It seems to me that it's just a question of bringing decking out and screwing it onto the stringers. The stringers are already there. The float that's out in the water is being used to moor one boat. It's not being used for an ongoing business where product has to be brought in and offshore daily.
I'd like to know what the other
All
members
right.
think.
Okay. When we get to that. we will.
Can I make a suggestion about, obviously, everybody wants to get this done as quickly as possible. If you were to, whatever you're comfortable with, Mr. Chairman, but leave open the opportunity that Mr. Riebel can come back and approach the commission for, if he cannot accomplish finishing the pier and moving the floats up, to align with the pier. If he cannot do that in whatever time frame the commission establishes, then he has the right to come back to the commission and state his case. But I just don't want to, you all heard him speak. I just don't want to say, 1 month is sufficient, because I don't know if it is.
Okay, well, first of all, I was not saying 1 month. I was thinking like 2 to 3 months. But I just do not see the need to have these floats sitting on the mud in order to complete that pier. Now, that being said, now I'll poll the other members of the board and see just what they might think. So, Mike, you've already had a chance to speak, so I'm going to pass along and
Thank
say,
you.
Lorraine, what do you think?
We're coming into winter. I don't think 2 to 3 months is realistic. I think I probably have to do 6 months or so, because, there's circumstances that were shared with us that we can't share here. But when you look at it from a realistic standpoint, I believe it's a setup to failure to expect somebody to do this in 2 to 3 months, especially when they're working alone. I think that we have to look at the time frame and sort of like the spring, or when the weather's warmer. I don't think it'll happen in 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, I would agree
Okay.
with that.
We have, is it open to Mary?
Okay,
Anything
is that
else?
it, Mary?
Oh, no. I wasn't here, but I did watch the whole meeting. And first, I'd like to extend a thank you to to the service of that individual in our government. And I'd also like to think about what would be the best for everybody. When we think about what's already happened, when we think about the situation, 6 months, 2 months, 3 years, 1 year, like, if he's just gonna come back, it's just gonna put us back into the same cycle. I think what we're trying to think about and determine is what's gonna stop that cycle and make it the best compromise for everybody. Because I think we have concerns, and we want to be understanding and compassionate. At the same time, we want it to be a realistic situation. To say, well, maybe a year, but we're not sure, we don't know. Like, there needs to be some sort of accountability for time frame. And we're not trying to be insensitive or anything in that factor, but there has to be a timeline.
So what are you suggesting?
So I think I mean, if we say 1 year is, I mean, well, maybe they'll be here, maybe they won't. I don't know what you guys think. Like, for me, I think you either draw the line or you don't, you know, and it needs to happen. It hasn't happened already. You know, I think we're all concerned of getting the, some of that material out and getting things flowing back. But, I would say maybe a year.
I'm comfortable with the 6 months that Lorraine suggested.
Yeah,
You know,
6
it's-
months would be okay, but I'm
it's double
thinking,
the 3 months you were talking
but I'm also
about.
thinking we could even come, you know, instead of 6, do 9, because I think the seasonality of the situation, if we think where we are now, you know, if we think 6 months from now, that's still, you know, I don't know, what do you guys think?
I think we need a commitment.
Yeah.
I
And
agree.
I'm not hearing anyone from the applicant side committing to a certain date.
Well, they've committed to December 31st of 2025. That is what they've committed to at the moment.
To
It sounds
get
like, it sounds like you guys are coalescing around like a June 1st, something like that is what it,
June
that's what
30th.
it, that's what it sounds like. But
Like a June 30th.
Well, June 30th, let's see.
I mean, it's basically
That gives them
November
8
now. It's
months.
November now.
It's November now, so it gives them 7 months.
To June 30th?
June 30th,
Something.
But that's gotta be a hard date,
yeah.
not a
Yeah.
come on back
No.
date.
It's-
Right, and
It's
if,
gotta be
and
done.
if that date is not met, then what is the,
Yeah, I mean, it's not,
ramifications
that's
there.
the thing we kind of went around and around on, is it's 3, he's got 3 years.
Well, how this all started was we threatened violations, and then that's how we brought them in. So those are the only tools we have in terms of violations is fines. Like that's bringing them into the commission to bless whatever they've done and instituting fines. The last thing we want to do is do fines. We want to get people in, get them.
Well, let me
yeah.
ask you, Brian, if it's 7 months, they haven't put them up, can you issue violations at that point?
$300 a day.
Yeah?
Again, this is not what I mean.
it's not what we want to do.
That's
not
not
what
what
we
we
wanna
want to
do.
do. These are you know, like we don't want to do it,
Yeah, I know.
but
Well, the other
at that time
option-
it'll be 5 years, right?
It'll be 5 years.
Or they
So
could
it's like,
or they
well,
could
it's-
post
I
a
mean-
bond, from what I'm
How long was this going on? Before I,
Oh,
Okay.
somebody
Huh?
has, I'm muting you, who's ever talking.
Maybe the neighbor.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's okay, please continue.
All right,
So I'm hearing that we have a consensus, a little longer than the 3 months that I was
Yeah.
advocating.
yeah.
But I think we're all on the same wavelength, that we want to set a firm deadline, that this has to be done. Is that a fair thing to
Yep.
say?
And
Oh,
also,
yeah. And I wanted to address one thing, if you don't mind, is that I had asked before where we give a 1-year extension, but we can't go beyond that. And I was curious, so I looked at what some towns do, and I'm looking at Shutesbury Conservation Commission, and they can extend an open order of conditions for 1 or more periods up to 3 years each. If there's an application for extension 30 days prior to expiration.
So that must be part of their local bylaw?
Yeah,
We would-
yeah.
We
so
would
I'm
have to
saying,
change that. Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
we need to look at
Not a
our
bad
local
idea.
bylaw. They're saying, I'm looking at it, go up to 3 years on 1 or more periods. That could be 6, 8, 9 years.
I mean, I
So
don't know if that's
maybe we're a
necessarily
little-
the right move either,
That's-
but we can certainly look at our bylaw.
Well, we're gonna
too,
give
yeah.
you that
We
to
voted
look
in
at.
these
Yeah, yeah.
regulations not long ago.
Yeah.
Last
So
year.
maybe we need to look at that, is what I'm saying.
But Michael, we voted these regulations in within the last year or two.
I know,
It was 3
but
years
sometimes
that
you vote something in and then you see how it works practically, and it's,
I don't know, I think we need to
you'd
get
say,
back to this.
well, the thing here is, if someone comes back, I don't wanna have to give them 3 more years if I can just give them 1 more year.
Right? I think that's.
Or 6
being
more months
realistic.
even, you know?
But we can do that as part of the negative
Yeah.
determination of applicability.
We can and we can't. They still get 3 years.
They still get 3 years to finish. There could be time, like, standards along the way, but they still
But if-
technically
but
have the
if-
whole
But
3
if we
years.
put in this deadline, is that firm? Can we hold them in violation?
I think it's actually gray,
Yeah.
because it is the whole order that takes the whole, like, they have 3 years to do the entire thing. There can be kind of checks along the way, but I think we can really only find them, thinking about this now, after once the actual expiration is there, like after the three
So 3
after the
years.
3 years. So
No.
all we have is, please do this. Meaning that if you can issue conditions, there can be some check-ins as part of that, but a firm deadline that's before that, say let's say in July 1st, if that's not out, I do not think it's clear in our bylaws or the state bylaw of whether or not we can actually do that.
Well, yeah, but can we require them, if they haven't done it by then, to post a performance bond?
I think that's possible, yes.
Yeah,
I do think that's possible.
and then, of course, when we still have to wait 2 more years to do it ourselves.
Yep. But I mean, at the same time, it's been quite a while. If the commission's a little cagey about just issuing another 3 years, there is an avenue to make them put up a performance bond if things are not going well.
Well, the other point I want to point, Bill Manuel comes before us a lot, so I'm wondering, as someone that prepares before this board a lot, are you confident in what you're representing, that this will be done in less than a year, as someone who is a regular before this board?
You mean just the
that does-
floats? You mean just the floats
Just the
out?
floats.
The floats,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that is, the applicant and his colleague, Mr. Clement, that's what they pitched to the commission. They said
Yeah, I know, but you do
within
this
the
all
year.
the time, Bill. You do these projects all the time, so are you confident that they can do it?
Is this realistic?
I am confident. If it were me, yeah, I can run 55, I'm not too shabby with a hammer and a screw gun. I can run 55 feet of decking, but it's not me. I didn't get injured in the service of my country. I'm not subject to, some other constraints that the applicant
You don't have
has.
to go
So,
into that. I'm just wondering if you're confident that they can do it within that time frame.
Yes, absolutely, because that's what they said.
All
But they
right.
said that before, and there was no time frame, right?
Well-
Things happen, but it has to be a time frame or no time frame, you know?
Well,
So Brian, let me ask this question. Can we, say we set a 6-month time limit tonight, and that is not met for whatever reason. Can we have the applicants back in front of us again, and then determine that they should post a bond to get that work done?
So I think that having a timeline in the order of a specific, like this date, I think we potentially could run into some trouble. What I think we can do is, a condition could be that they have to come back in front of the commission for kind of an update July 1st or whenever you want. So that could be a condition. You can have them, if anything, it would probably be earlier than later, meaning maybe in 4 months and not 7 months. You have them come back in 4 months, present what has been done, the progress of the project, something like that. So you could make them come back for sure. But the problem where we could the problem I'm seeing is that the order is good for 3 years. And when we talk to the state, we have talked to the state about kind of parsing out, like, can we say this has to be done there and then this? They were basically like, technically it's the whole 3 years. You can kind of have a timeline, but you can't really say specifically
Yeah.
that.
Well, we could still condition a performance bond, right?
You definitely
I
could
think
do
we
that.
could. I could make a motion along those lines.
As part of our decision tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would lean in that direction. Bill, you probably have to go back to your applicants to see what their feelings are on that.
Well, let's hear what the commission is going to request.
Well, basically,
I mean, I was
Bill,
hoping we can get this done this evening. So what is the commission looking for?
Well, what's the consensus of the board here? Was it June 30th? Was that it? Was it?
Yeah, we can go with that.
All right.
That's
Yeah.
6 months,
Yeah.
yes. But Bill, we need a commitment that it's going to be done. not, I can't hear about the tides or, whatever someone's working conditions are. We need to have this done, because, we made a commitment, to the folks there when we issued an order of conditions that those floats were gonna be off of the mud, and they're still sitting there. I see it.
At the risk of sounding repetitive, the applicants committed that they would have everything off of the mud within 1 year. The commission wants to tighten that up. In the interest of moving forward, 7, 8 months, I think I can go out on a limb on behalf of my clients, and try to move things along. I agree with, I forget, either Lorraine or Mary, that, with winter coming up, it's probably, that is kind of a setup for failure to be working under the most
Right.
adverse conditions. But, hey, by June 30th next year, that's
Let's do
a
that.
pretty good stretch of time that they should be able to get this completed.
Well,
And are they willing to post a bond to that effect?
well, if they haven't done it, that's what my thinking was, that if they come back by the 30th, then they would have to post a performance bond for the remainder of the work.
Can we set it up like that?
Let's talk about, maybe report back on the 30th, because, posting a bond, that's not something that you impose upon any of the other applicants that I'm familiar with.
But they were in
Other than
violation,
like a
Bill. It's not like
subdivision or
they
something
came
like
in
that.
before, it wasn't like they came in before the 3 years, the 3 years and the 1 year were up. They were in violation. They're in violation.
Bill, we're just looking for a commitment.
So I
Because
think,
otherwise, this could go on indefinitely.
I think you can easily put a condition to have them come back for June 30th, with the goal of removing all the unlicensed floats, moorings, blocks, and anchors or tackle shells be removed from the waterway by June 30th. If it's not, then you can have them come back in. I wouldn't put anything in the decision about a bond. You could talk about that at the time.
Well, we can put in something that says we will consider a bond.
Definitely, you could consider it,
Right.
but I would not say an if-then, meaning
Well-
if it's not done, then we will definitely do a bond. I just wouldn't, I just
okay,
wouldn't put it that in,
that's
that's all.
good. We can do it in that.
Consider, yeah,
that's
you
good
could.
framework, yes.
All right.
All right, is that comfortable? You comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, Jim Morrell's town meeting member, precinct 3, but I just got a call. Pete Clement, who's working with Bob, he was at the senior center, so he's on his way here. But I think he could make, hopefully he would be able to make a definite commitment. I mean, I think maybe June, maybe a little July, maybe, but, and there he is, so. But, of course, he missed everything that you talked about, so I'm sorry about that, but, again, we're just, I know you're looking for a commitment. I'm sure Pete could make that commitment. I guess he's not with you? Oh, okay, he's slow. And again, we'll let Pete make that commitment. He'll be here any minute, but I think that, like you said, it's been this would be 5 years. I think, if we, June, July would be better. And the only other thing is, so you're just looking for a commitment to get the docks, the floats off the mud, and he can still continue to build the decking and the rails that will need to be done.
That's correct.
Okay, so, all right, I'll just,
How can we bring these people up to speed quickly?
Well, I can. So Pete, you missed the discussion here.
Well, I was under the impression that it was still over at the senior center.
Well, that's all right. So where we are is, we're talking about possibly issuing a negative determination, saying they're not going to have to file a new notice of intent, but we're going to make a condition that the floats come off. And then we had some discussion with Bill Manuel, and he felt that if we went out to June 30th of next year, they could at least get the floats up. And Mr. Morose just said he thought that you would be in favor of that, if you thought that was feasible.
Under the right weather conditions, yes. I mean, let's be honest with you. If we have longer winter nor'easters and the rest of that, we can't.
Okay, but forget,
You know, the main thing is we're with you as far as getting the floats out of there as soon as possible. All right? But we have to have a safe work environment.
all right, so I'm trying to get an answer out of, maybe I shouldn't get it from you,
From the applicant.
but from the applicant. Can you get the floats off the mud by June 30th of next year? And then you have 3 years to finish your project.
The floats don't come off. Marilyn were able. The floats don't come off until the pier, until it's decked in.
Well, that's what you're saying, but we're saying that why does it have to be that way?
That's not what your bill manual is saying.
We don't, how did we have access?
Well, how do other people? That's not the only way to access. I mean, you
Just to take a step back, when we first started the hearing tonight, we issued an order of conditions 4 years ago, 4+ years ago. And part of that was to get those floats off of the mud. And that's our number one, that's our driving force here. We want to see those floats off the mud. We'll give you the 3 years to finish the pier. That's fine, but we want those floats off of the mud. So to leave it open-ended for 3 more years of a
not
negative
gonna do
determination, we're not going to agree to that.
and you missed the discussion with the your representative, and I assume he's still here.
Yep, he's there.
That he felt that it could be done.
Well, it would have been nice if I knew where this was being held. I
Well,
mean, I'm sitting
Yeah,
up there at the senior
Marilyn-
center.
That's a different issue. So
So, Marilyn and Pete, I recall our discussion was that you committed to a year. The commission is looking for action
Bill, let's
sooner
stop,
than
Bill.
that.
Excuse me, Bill, for 1 second. Whatever we discussed at the site visit was a discussion only. It was no decisions were made. It was not an open meeting. It was just in an information
understand
gathering
that.
session. So let's not
I
refer to
understand that.
agreements that we made at that meeting, because we really didn't make an agreement there.
And I didn't imply that. I just reminded my client what they pitched. And obviously, no decisions were made at a site walk. So the applicant committed that they could do within a year. Maryland, the commission is looking for something sooner than that. And so they were sort of focusing on the 30th of June. So I think there's looking for give and take on both sides,
So
and
do
I
I
understand what the
understand?
commission's looking for, but we do need to give something that, an element of confidence that the floats are going to come off sooner than later.
Do I understand that you want the floats off by June of next year?
Right.
I can agree to that.
you can.
Okay, good. We're making progress.
Well,
Okay.
That's great.
in that case, anybody else?
No, that's a great development.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other comment from the public?
Can I ask?
Okay.
Hello?
Pete Clement, town meeting member, precinct 3. All we're taking off is the floats that are on the mud. That's what
They
you're
run
looking for.
along the length of the pier.
All right,
Right.
all right. And now the one that's at the very end, the one that's been there for 16, 18 years, whatever it is, that stays.
The big
We
heavy
just-
duty one, is that what you mean?
Yes.
Well, that was always going to stay even with
Okay.
the new
That was part
pier.
of it.
right?
Yeah, that was-
I
that's
wasn't,
part
I
of it.
wasn't, I wasn't privy to that knowledge, but I go along with that also. Excuse me.
Okay, so we're on the same understanding, then the floats from the shore out to the quote-unquote main float.
The end of the pier.
Right.
Right.
those will be gone. The main float is out there, because that's part of the original project. So
Right.
we're still
And what's
dealing with
Right.
the open order of conditions that we have.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we're all on the same page.
Yep, we can do that.
Okay, so now my question, Brian, is how do we make this happen?
So,
Because there is an open order of conditions. Do we have to close that? I don't think we can we?
no, it expired.
No.
So-
we're voting on the request for a negative
Yeah, it's just the
determination,
RDA,
and I
it's just the
second
RDA
motion
right
on
now,
that.
so where,
I don't in there.
Just say it, talks, Brian. Say it.
sorry.
Brian?
Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. NATO, you can raise your hand we're in the middle of talking, so you can raise, you can
Okay.
just, hold on a second.
Okay, that's fine.
Once we issue the negative, assuming, then they're no longer in violation, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
And what happens with the order of conditions?
So, so the RDA, basically, the RDA will govern everything.
Yeah.
That's why we have to put these additional conditions that we have labeled here in terms of there will be no upland storage, temporary or otherwise, of floats in the resource area. Like those 5 new conditions that the harbor master has recommended.
Yeah.
That's why we need to, because this is what's going to govern now. So those are the conditions that have to get incorporated.
Okay, and that one of them is, just to make sure we're talking about, the unlicensed floats, mooring blocks, anchors, tackle shells. Does that cover all the?
That covers all of the floats on the side that are the most
Yeah, and
concerned for.
nothing else really but that, right?
No, that, so, and that's what you would say,
Okay.
there would be and you could put a condition saying that you would like them to come back by June 30th so that you can assess
Yeah.
what's going on.
All
And
right.
then, you may consider whatever you want.
Yeah.
You may consider a bond, you may consider whatever. You
Yeah.
don't necessarily have to put that in writing.
Well, can I make a motion then?
Well, let's.
There is,
we're not
so
done yet. We will.
the resident would like to speak. Now, is now a good time for them?
Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
Mr. and Mrs. Nato, why don't you go right ahead?
Hello, my name is Keith Nato. I live next door at 5 Doty Ave. Getting those docks out of there by June would be fantastic. That gives them plenty of time to
Nice.
get that done. I'm totally on board with that. I'm not looking to stop the project. I just want it finished. I talked about a few different concerns the last time. The end float has been switched to a commercial big float. It's like twice the size of the original float, which I sent pictures of Mr. Rabel's boat on that float. And you can tell by the size of it and the size of his boat that that dock has been switched. And I'd like to get that under a condition to get moved back to the original dock that was in there.
Excuse me, now I thought
And
you,
then-
Peter, you said that's been there for 16 years.
Wait, hold on a sec, guys.
Yeah, let's
That
let
dock
them
was,
finish.
that dock was blessed 16 years ago by the Conservation Commission.
That was.
So that's a fact.
No, that's not the same dock.
We
not?
we have the plans
Let's
showing
take
it.
Take a step back. What dock was applied for in the order of conditions that we approved? Because that's what's gotta be there.
It's there. It's the big one that's there.
The one that's there now.
It's the, what is it?
What's the dimension?
It's 12 by 40.
Yeah,
Is that what that says?
In the original,
or it's 15, it's not on this one. I thought it was, so is it 15 by 40, Bill?
I want it to be with the order of conditions.
Uh,
They switched it since
You're referring to the one on the license?
his point.
Correct. Well, the one that was, that the Conservation Commission approved about 15, 16 years ago is the one that's there now and is about 12 by 40, 13 by 40, something like that.
Something like that.
So that
The
was
only
approved
thing I
by the
could
commission
speak to-
14 years ago.
Well, if we've approved it, then we have to live with that one.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate thing. But yes,
okay, so that dock that's out there now, the 12 by 40, you're saying was the original dock and it was already approved 15 years ago?
well, I don't know if it was the original dock, but it was approved by by the Danvers Conservation Commission, whatever that was, about 14, 15 years ago. That size dock was approved by the Danvers Conservation Commission, yes.
Okay, and what size, what was that? The
I believe it
approval
was the
size?
same one that's out there, the 12 by 40, 13 by 40.
Whichever-
12,
whichever
13 by
size.
40.
Yeah, whatever it is now, that's what was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't see how that can be when I have pictures of it. I have pictures of Bob Rabel's boat next to that dock on the outside, and it's a total different dock.
It was probably more
It's
than
not the
13
same
years ago.
dock.
My guess it was
Yeah.
more. It was more than 13 or 14 years ago.
Well, maybe they changed it after they got it approved. I don't want to make an argument about it, but they could have changed it, like it was probably 7 years ago when Bob retired his boat. That's when they changed it. But I don't want to beat a dead horse, I'll move on from there. And then they requested about moving the dock upriver another 2 feet. Is that correct?
No,
No.
they're just all they're
Yes.
doing. There's a the end piling has to get fixed. That's it. The right side of
Okay.
the piling is bent.
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing any movement of the upland or anything like that as part of the application.
No, just, Ryan, just for clarification, the commission, the end float right now is aligned on the floats that are on the mud. In order to align it with the gangway that's going to be attached to the pier, it is going to move upriver by 9 feet.
9 feet?
From where it is now?
Yes.
Yeah, that's,
Nine?
yeah, that, someone's calculation's gotta be off, but that would be halfway in front of my yard.
No, it's the opposite direction.
I think
Downriver.
it's downriver,
Yeah, it's
Bill,
down.
isn't it?
All right, then downriver, sorry.
Yeah,
Let's put
okay.
it to the westerly.
Yep. Okay, I guess, yeah, that was it, and just getting the floats off, I'm good with the June date.
Okay.
Wonderful.
great,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to Mike.
Yeah, fine. And just for the record, so the applicant, you agree that that's the original float we approved 16 years ago, the end float?
Yes, sir.
This is
That's
Bill
all.
Manuel, I
Fine,
can't
thank you.
speak to what you approved
All
and
right.
16
Then I
years
wanna-
ago, but I know
Okay,
what you
hold on one
approved 4
second,
years
just-
ago.
1 second, Mike.
All right.
Just to clarify on the float movement, is this, with the new pier, it seems that the new pier is to the seaward side, not the upriver side. So to my
Moving in
understanding,
the direction of the sea.
right, so my understanding is that the float is gonna move in the direction of Salem and not Danversport.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Away from the neighbor's yard. Yeah.
Okay, so we're all on the same page on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so if there's no other further comment, if we're gonna continue, how are we gonna do this with June? Are we gonna leave this as an open hearing, continued until then, and, no, so we're gonna close the public hearing? Okay, so we need to do that first.
Yeah.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
I second the motion.
Can just, when you make the motion,
Yeah,
You
we've
just
heard
give-
from everyone, right, in the
right,
public?
but
Yeah.
just the
Oh.
numbers,
Oh,
the
yeah.
address and the DEP number.
All right, I make a motion to close the public hearing for the determination, the negative determination of applicability on 7 Doty Ave, RDI file number 2024-08.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now we'll entertain motions for granting a determination of applicability.
I make a motion that we issue a negative determination of applicability for 7 Doty Ave, DCC file number 2024-08, applicant Robin and Marilyn. Robert and Marilyn, is it Rabal, am I saying that right?
Rebel.
Rebel, thank you. We understand that by doing this, we're giving the applicant 3 years to finish that project. However, we are conditioning that approval on a number of things, and which I'd like to read, and that is that any unlicensed floats, mooring blocks, anchors, and/or tackle shells will be removed from the waterways, and we're specifically referring to the floats that are sitting on the mud that run from the shore out to the end of the existing pier and the float at the end of that existing pier. And we want that done by June 30th. The applicants to come before us at that time to explain why that wouldn't be done or to tell us it is done. In the event it's not done, we will consider the possibility of a performance bond at that time. Further condition, there'll be no upland storage, temporary or otherwise, of floats, gangways, mooring blocks, and tackle in the resource areas. Further condition, where proposed water-dependent structure may extend into dredge cut, no filled pile or pier shall be permitted that would hinder dredge operations. Further condition, the applicant shall remove and store any float and/or pile within the dredge cut at the owner's expense and at the direction of the harbor master for the duration of dredge operations. Are we expecting to do dredge operations, or just as like a safeguard?
Yeah, this was, this is,
Yeah.
looking forward.
Final condition, the applicant must have the property address and structure's Chapter 91 license number conspicuously displayed on both the fixed pier and the float in perpetuity. Address and Chapter 91 license number will be in 3-foot block letters?
3 inch.
That can't be right, it
That
must
can't
be
be right.
inch.
Inch.
Yeah, the symbol says foot, but we know it means inches, right? I'll say 3
That'd be a
inch
big sign.
The billboard
All
out
right.
there.
So that's the motion.
The motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so,
Good luck
All
with
right,
finishing
thank you
your
for working
project.
through this.
and we'll see you at the end
And
of June.
please thank
Either
Robert
way.
Revel for his service.
Thanks for your input, Peter. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bill, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Have a good night.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Next up is a request for a certificate of compliance for 11 and 49 through 55 Newberry Street, DEP file number 14-120. So, that's not a complete DEP number.
1425. No.
Wait.
One.
No, 14120. This is DEP file number from 1983. That's why it looks so
An
crazy.
old number. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
So no, that's a real number.
That is a valid
That's a
number.
real number.
That's how
Okay.
far back it goes.
Yeah. So
Fine.
that's actually why we're here, is that the Costco's here for an NOI, but we learned in doing that the 1983 order of conditions never got, or sorry, that it was never closed out. So this is a
work was done?
Yeah, no work. Well, I'll let them explain that. But basically, we're here to do a certificate of compliance, showing that no work is done, and then going through the next step is a few minutes after talking about the NOI for the transfer of the gas station over to the Friday. So I'll hand it over to RJ O'Connell from the applicant.
Thank you. For the record, Mike Capichetti from RJ O'Connell and Devin Tabor from Lucas Environmental. If you remember, we were before you about a month and a half ago to discuss the NOI at Costco. At that time, we had discovered that there was an open order of conditions on the site from 40-plus years ago, really centered around the stormwater basin that's located on the site. We've since had a site walk, I believe that was about a month ago at this point, where a couple of the commission members were out there to take a look at what was going on in there, and seeing that the stormwater basin is functioning as designed. Additionally, Costco has made a concerted effort on all of their projects now to try to bring everything up to compliance, and they had a inspection done throughout that site to investigate the existing stormwater that's out there, and we had provided that report as part of our COC compliance request, stating that the stormwater basin is functioning properly. There is some minor maintenance that's needed to some of the catch basins and some litter concerns that we spoke about on the site of the actual stormwater basin. We had a site walk with Brian and Emily on Tuesday, and at that time we also had a contractor from Costco on site to go over the type of work that we're proposing, the maintenance of the catch basins that are noted in the report, and also that we had some discussions on site previously about hand maintenance to the stormwater basin to remove litter, to make sure that there's no restrictions on any of the outflows of the pipes, and with that, you know, we had the contractor out there to have the conversations with everyone. We've provided them with documentation of the requested work and the inspections, and they're ready to start working as soon as we get the go-ahead. We wanted to come before you first for both the COC and the NOI before we had them go into that stormwater basin and do the work that's maintained to bring everything into compliance. Again, when we get to the notice of intent after this, there are some conditions that it sounds like may be built into that NOI to ensure that this work is done now, and in the future, continued maintenance would be associated with it. With that, if you,
I don't think I have anything. I can answer any questions.
yeah, we can answer any questions or requests of the board.
What type of maintenance work needs to be done now?
So there are some catch basins that need to be pumped and cleaned out. And then in terms of the stormwater basin itself, there's some litter throughout the site. It looks like they may have been, you know, just collected throughout there. So it'd be going in there, cleaning out the litter, ensuring that, again, there's no sediment built up at the end of any of the pipes. With everything functioning properly out there, we don't anticipate there'd be major work out there. There are some, as we saw, phragmites growing throughout the site, and you know, they may have to cut portions of that just to make sure that all of the outlets and inlets are working properly, and just to give them almost a haircut, for a lack of a better term, to make sure everything's clean throughout there. With that, they would have to obviously enter in certain portions of the stormwater basin, so there would be some small portions where they probably have to cut open to get a wheelbarrow in there in case they have to get anything out. So we're hoping to also then continually use those access points for the continuing maintenance for the yearly inspections that may be part of the condition of the NOI.
Now, as part of the original order of conditions, didn't Costco commit to annual maintenance activities?
So my understanding is the initial submission was done by Gutierrez Company back in 1983 for what would be a multi-use development that then had transferred over to Costco. And yes, at the time of the original order of conditions to Gutierrez, there was conditions for continuing maintenance of the basin. It's very vague for the time of 1983, just saying maintain it to make sure that the basin is functioning. Obviously, those conditions carry over with every owner, as every conditions do. So it would apply to then Costco at the time. And Costco then, when subsequently had modified the project back in '90 when they came in. So since '83, there was modifications done in '84, '90, and 3 times in '90. But agreed, yeah. So
What sort of modifications were done?
at that time, it was just modifications to change the permitting strategy where it was multiple businesses to include a larger building where they encompass the other buildings where the Costco would sit. And I think at one time it may have been the Fridays just coming in there as a.
It was going to be a 6-building office park.
Yeah.
Was the original order.
For that piece of property where
Yeah,
Costco
and then when Costco came in, they redesigned. You know, they redeveloped it or developed it in a different way.
But when they purchased the property, they assumed the responsibility to maintain the catch basin,
Yes,
and that hasn't been.
that has not happened, and they've committed to doing that.
Okay. That's all I have for questions. Mike, you?
Well, I'll wait for the next step. No, I don't have any questions at this point.
I don't have any questions.
Mary?
I'm just finishing. I'm just looking at the conditions. So they will maintain everything?
Correct, and I don't know if it got built into the conditions that Emily had written, but at the time of the site walk, Devin had proposed the possible condition of an annual inspection with a report that would be submitted to the conservation agent yearly stating that the stormwater basin was inspected and is functioning properly, and if not, this maintenance has been done or will be done, and it will be a yearly,
Well, will that be tied into the closing out the certificate of compliance or into the notice of intent? for
it
the
would
ne-
be tied into the notice of intent.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Yeah, unfortunately, Devin Tabor with Lucas Environmental, unfortunately, the order of conditions written in 1983 was vague on the perpetuality of maintenance. So they didn't have any sort of like quarterly, annual, maintenance
Right.
required. So at this point, it would be in the best interest of the act, the regulations, the resource areas, and you to require a specific time frame for Costco to
Yeah.
come in and provide that information to you.
Yep.
And just to piggyback on that, with the NOI also comes an actual operation and maintenance agreement that is being drafted for the site that provides them strict guidelines of when it has to be inspected, each type of BMP, the catch basin, the water quality units, etc. So that is built into them actually having something now to point to that's, lack of a better term, less vague, that actually is direct direct maintenance requirements.
Mike, do you have a question? that goes
Yeah,
with that?
so, again, what will be the frequency of maintenance? Is it different frequency for different performance?
Correct. It's
performances?
different. It can vary from being yearly to quarterly, depending on the
And
type
how,
of.
and could you just touch on it a little?
So typically, it would be a yearly.
The one will be no monthly, we're talking quarterly and yearly, correct?
I mean, monthly would be inspections after large rainstorms. They would be doing, making
Yeah.
sure there's no flooding or anything. But
Yeah.
other than that, it would be more so at the most frequently.
Yeah.
It would be quarterly, checking catch
Yeah.
basins, biannually checking the stormwater basins.
So what do they do quarterly, for example? Well, they go out there, there's the,
So for an example, for the catch basins, would they be going out there and taking measurements and taking a look at the sumps in the catch basins? If they're more than 50% filled, then they would have to be pumped and cleaned out. Similar with the water quality units that are being treated, that treat the water before they're discharged. They'd be going to check biannually the outlets of the pipes going into the basins, make sure they're not, there's nothing blocking, restricting them, there's no, rilling or any signs of major erosion control or blowouts or anything like that, because then they would have to be repaired.
and
to
that would
make
be
sure-
part of the second quarterly one, because you said, are you saying, all right, so you've got a quarterly, so every 3 months, and then biannually, you're meaning every 6 months?
Correct, and again, this is for different structures have different requirements.
Oh,
So
okay.
catch basins would be quarterly, the basin itself, the stormwater basin, the actual facility that captures the water would be twice a year. And again, there's different.
And what's the annual?
Well, the annual, I guess, would be, in this terms, would be submitting annually.
The report,
to
it's the
to
reporting
report.
that's annual.
The reporting is
Yes.
annual?
So
Okay.
that's one of the conditions that we had
Oh, good,
mentioned.
because that
Yeah.
gives me a better understanding of.
Well, the
I
O
think
and M,
that's-
the
that's
operating
the
and
key
maintenance
one, is
plan's
that
probably like this big.
What's
Yeah,
The O and M plan, the operation and maintenance plans for the stormwater infrastructure is
Yeah.
probably that thick, that
Okay.
they have to go through.
And all of these inspections or requirements are set by the state, by the Mass Stormwater Handbook. So we're just following the state regulations for the frequency of inspections.
Okay, so I think the key thing to hear is that they're gonna file a report annually. They're
Yeah.
gonna do these other things in the intervals.
Yeah, and that'll be in their annual
Right,
report.
but that
Yeah.
has to be done, because I
Yeah.
mean, we've gone for 40 some odd years when it hasn't been done.
All right.
Okay, Mike, are you all set?
I'm all set, yeah.
Lorraine, any questions?
I have no
None?
question.
I'm
Larry?
good.
You good? Not 1 second, Bill. The review of the functionality of the basin has been conducted by Costco's representatives, but do we have
Or
any sort of
Topsfield?
So they
is our
still need a,
engineering, or do we want to go with peer review, or?
so they still had, so they, Costco still had to go through site plan review with the planning board for this, and they needed a stormwater permit. So they're all, I mean, they're going through all that
That's
necessary
done now,
process.
isn't it?
Yeah. So the engineering department, DPW, they're reviewing the storm. I don't know when you're applying for a stormwater permit, but
So we've received a conditional approval from planning board, condition being that we get a clean bill of health through the engineering department. So upon getting their, and we just submitted this week responding to their remaining comments, which was just providing some additional construction notes and some erosion control, and really just, the contractor shall contact us X amount of days beforehand, blah, blah, blah. So we will be submitting for a stormwater permit upon probably shortly after, possibly getting approval from the NOI. We anticipate that they've already made all of their comments, and it would just be a sign off from them since they've commented on the planning board submission. We've had 2 rounds of comments and responses with.
I think they just did their 3rd round today.
Oh, I have not seen that.
I think
then.
so. That their
Okay.
the engineering's 3rd round comments came out today for your site plan review. So
Okay.
they're clearly going through the process, and they will require a stormwater permit, and they're already being reviewed right now. I believe the last memo that came out, I don't think there are any large outstanding issues, but
that's, to my way of thinking at least, I mean, we need to have that stormwater permit approved for what's currently there, for us to go ahead and approve it. I mean, without that, we're saying, yeah, we're not gonna approve it, not knowing if it's working properly or not.
I don't think, are they?
I mean, that's not a possibility.
They're not reviewing the existing, right?
They're not reviewing the functionality.
Yeah.
They're reviewing that we've complied with all of the stormwater regulations throughout the town, and that the town and the state. Again, we've had the site walk out there, and we spoke about it, and we've had, it's a third-party review that was one of Costco's representatives that did the review.
engineering still has they're reviewing all of those.
Right, but
yeah.
where's our assurance that it's working properly? I don't hear that as of right now.
Well, what do you want to do, a peer review for the condition?
That's what I
of
asked
it?
before. I mean, if our engineering is.
Yeah, no, I don't-
but they have not submitted a report yet.
Correct. So I don't believe a peer review is warranted in this situation, because typically when it is warranted, very early on, we get notice from engineering that, hey, Brian, you guys need to, both, whether it's going through planning, ZBA, or Concom, they give us the heads up to say, we can't handle this, we require a peer review. That did not happen here.
Yeah.
Okay,
If we
but they haven't come out and said yet that this is sufficient for.
Well, they're still in the middle of going through that stormwater permit.
But they have, the remaining comments that are left on there were all.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, I'm looking at the memo from today. So the first one, no more comments. Second, no more comment. Let me just see. It looks like there's no further comment for everything. I'll tell you in 2 seconds. No further comment. So, give me just another 30, not even 30 seconds. Scrolling all the way through, it looks, everything has been addressed.
Okay.
So engineering is satisfied
Yeah.
right now. This is their 3rd round of comments. And they have no further comment on any of the things that they brought up the first time.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so, and I'd ask them, now, thinking about that, if I was going to ask for a peer review, what would I want to know? I'd want to know, what's the condition of that wetland basin, whatever you want to call it, 40 years later, having been untouched, and what, is it functioning the way it should, and if not, what needs to be done? So that's the kind of things I'd be asking, and are you addressing that?
Well, I mean, from all of the conversations and review of out there, there's been no flooding issues that have ever been documented from my understanding on that site. Everything seems to be draining properly. There's been no issues with clogging. I believe there was some email documentation from a couple years ago when Georgia was still here stating that it was her opinion to leave that basin as is because Costco had considered the possibility of going in there and clear cutting it at and clearing everything out. And it was Georgia's, and again, this is an email. I don't know if it's on, well, I guess all emails, text on record.
We've heard that before, yeah.
And it was her preference that everything was functioning properly and to leave it as is. Our proposal that we're doing out here is reducing impervious that's going to there, so we're reducing runoff to it. We're increasing TSS removal, so we're providing better treatment, so the water that's going in there will be cleaner today than it's going in there currently. So all of that is a betterment of the existing basin out there, and to our knowledge, and unless someone has documentation otherwise, it appears to be functioning
According
properly.
to the report,
And
sorry,
again,
excuse me, according to the report,
Yeah.
I'm a wetland scientist, I can tell you here that
Yeah.
it's all frag and you know, that's an invasive
Yeah,
species.
we were
I
out
mean,
there.
it acts, but, yeah, in the report, obviously that what we have and what we provided to you is that basin is functioning. There's no issues with that basin.
Yeah.
I think the issues that were brought up were with catch basins, few catch basins that needed to be pumped. So that's the maintenance that needs to take place.
So that's what we're saying. If we
Priority.
weren't satisfied, we'd probably want a peer review, but I think I'm satisfied. And you're saying there's nothing else that needs to be done mechanically in that basin, like the way it flows or the pipes?
Sedimentation issues, no movement of culverts, no movement of pipes, outfalls, infall, anything like that will stay in place.
And they're all adequate.
According to our
correct,
reports.
yes, and all of the sizing of the pipes have been, we've been calculated, and everything is working, is sized properly. We're not even going in there and changing any of the existing pipe and outfalls that are going into it. We're able to tie right into the existing drainage system, so we don't have to, because luckily it's a 36-inch pipe that's going into there from the site, because it's taking such a large amount of area.
All right, well, that's all my questions.
Okay, so, let me ask the other two members, do we feel comfortable with the level of approval that we hear that this basin is working the way it's designed?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm comfortable.
Mhm.
Okay. Mr. Bradstreet, you had a question or a comment?
Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. I keep hear it be referred to as an inspection, whatever the period is. To me, inspection doesn't go far enough. Should it be, and it's just wording, inspection class/cleaning, as opposed to just inspection. I know you mentioned cleaning, but I'd rather see cleaning at the moment you're inspecting, not in another sentence, so to speak. So it isn't ignoring the fact that it needs to be or might need to be cleaned, not just inspected.
The word maintained is written throughout the whole
yeah.
thing. So everything has to be maintained.
I misspoke. I should have said inspection and maintenance. So there is.
I'm not trying to nitpick.
No, I totally understand.
I'm not an engineer, I'm not a member of the board.
When
I
that
just would like to
okay,
hear it,
fine.
so I understand, and if anybody is
I'm off tomorrow.
watching this, they
Yes, sir.
understand.
Yes, sir.
I'm not faulting you, it's
No,
just,
it's fine. I totally
I'd rather
understand.
see a couple of extra words, that's all.
Understood, yes.
Thank you.
Oh, no, the 14th, the next meeting, yeah.
Okay, I think we've,
Thank you.
we're all comfortable with this now? All right, so why don't we proceed with issuing a certificate of compliance? So if someone can make a motion with any pertinent conditions, we'll go from there.
I vote to make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 11, 49, and 55 Newberry Street, DEP number 14-120, with conditions in perpetuity as noted on the original order of conditions. The vegetated waterways and detention areas shall be maintained in such a manner so as not to reduce their detention and filtration functions. During or after work on this project, there shall be no discharge or spillage of fuel, oil, or other pollutants into any area of statutory interest. So as to preserve their effectiveness, the oil grease traps in the catch basins must be continually maintained.
Good. I just want to make a point for Lorraine, that when you say that you're not voting, you're moving, and then afterwards we're gonna vote
Right,
if
yeah.
somebody seconds your motion.
Okay.
Okay.
And,
And just,
just a point of
We
order.
want to have
Point of
two
order,
more.
and I second your motion.
Okay.
No, hold on.
Wait,
we're
yeah,
not-
there are
we're
these
not-
two other
we're not done with-
conditions.
Oh,
We're not done with
sorry.
the motion
Yeah.
yet.
Sorry.
Okay.
Lorraine, there's still
Yep.
two other
Conditions.
conditions. The
So
applicant
this-
shall provide annual updates.
Yep, to staff regarding the status of the basins and any concerns as part of their maintenance plan. Hand tools shall be used for removal of debris and maintenance. If machinery is needed, applicant shall first contact the staff to review.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Tonight-
Those are conditions on the certificate of compliance, or are
Right.
those conditions on the notice of intent?
Well, they'll be,
No.
they'll be,
Okay.
on-
Okay.
they'll
Just
be
making
on-
sure.
I thought they'd
I'm
be
just
on the
making sure.
notice of
I think it's
intent.
actually gonna be
They're really
both.
on both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so up next is a notice of intent, once again, for 11 and 49 through 55 Newbury Street. DEP file number 14-1425. And the applicant is John Alvarado, and his representatives are the same. So, are we all up to speed on this project, or do we, I think we should probably have at least a quick overview of what the plan encompasses. I know you're
Whatever.
pressed for time, Mike.
Well, I can go real quick.
If you want to cover it.
Yeah, I can go very quick. So, the proposed project will redevelop the existing fuel facility in Costco and replace it with a new paved parking lot and with the construction of a new fueling facility on the former TGI Fridays parcel. So there's currently the TGI Fridays building there that would be demolished. The new parking lot will have 121 new spaces. It's obviously the new parking lot is on already paved surface. The fueling facility will consist of the construction of a concrete pad with 16 fueling pumps and 32 fueling stations. So it's actually going to be a little bit smaller, but actually have more pumps than the existing gas station. The project was issued approval by the planning board on September 24th. There are, based on the proposed impacts, that no waivers are required as part of this petition or as part of the NOI. Like the applicant said, they're reducing impervious in the 35 and the 50. And the site development also includes a stormwater management system that's designed to be in compliance with the Mass DEP stormwater management standards. There have been a number of updates since the last time they were here. So, based on working with the town, they've provided additional notes, details, and requirements for construction and inspection. They provided additional erosion and sediment control measures during construction. They provided information for existing on-site utilities, proposed drainage pipes, sizes and slopes. It's actually been a very comprehensive review. We've actually very much enjoyed working with RJ O'Connell in this. Anything that we've asked for, they have given and then some. The proposed conditions reduce the degraded area on site by almost 4,000 square feet and increase landscape areas by about 4,000 square feet. And that's about it.
And water flow, stormwater is not gonna have any different impact on the storm basin that we talked about.
I mean, because all the areas that are being touched are already impacted areas to begin with. These are all paved surfaces.
All
So there's
drained,
like, in essence, there's not a lot of huge changes as part of this development project.
Okay, and erosion control, there's gotta be a fair amount of excavation between the two sites, right? I mean, you're building a gas station, but are they taking the tanks out of the old site as well?
It's my understanding that I believe they are going to be removed. I don't know for sure actually. But yes, there is going to be a significant amount of disturbance done in order for both of us to construct the new pumps and possibly remove the old ones. We've worked with the engineering department to provide some additional information for, in addition to the typical silt fences and erosion barriers throughout there, to provide sediment traps and sediment basins to allow it to capture water within the work area, so no additional runoff will come off during construction. And additionally, any open stockpiles will be covered at night. They'll be outside of the buffer zones. Obviously any excess fill will be removed from the site. And I turn back over to you if there's any other questions with that.
Okay, I just know that there's gonna be a lot of excavation. We just wanna be careful with nothing that finds its way to the wetlands. I don't have any other further questions on this. Do you, Mike?
No.
Lorraine?
No.
Mary?
No
No? Any public input? No? Okay, so we should close the public hearing before we do anything else, so.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for 11 and 49 to 55 Newbury Street, DEP file number 14-1425.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so now if someone can make a motion for an order of conditions.
Well, I'll make a motion that we issue an order of conditions for 11 and 49-55 Newbury Street, DEP file number 14-1425, applicant being John Alvarado, Costco Wholesale. And in the order of conditions, we incorporate by reference the earlier conditions in perpetuity noted by Member Lorraine and the certificate of compliance that we approved in the previous hearing.
Perfect.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, commission
Thanks,
members. Have a good night.
So we just have we have two more items of business tonight. There was an emergency certification for beaver activity at Nickel Street and the electric right-of-way at 229 Maple. That happened on September 24th to allow the trapping of beavers and the breaching of dams that were blocking culverts and water flow. That's just more of a notification.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there's.
So do we?
You have to sign.
Do we need to vote on anything?
I think no. I think you just have to sign that. That this,
He has to sign off on that, doesn't he?
acknowledge. You have to acknowledge it. Yeah.
Okay, so you have something for me to sign?
I should.
I
yes.
used to go out on those things when,
Yeah, I think,
when I was chair and actually look at them before I signed off.
I've been to one or two.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's done. Nothing we need to vote on.
And then it's just a minute approval.
Okay,
of
then
minutes.
the minutes from August 22nd and the minutes from September 12th. Everyone had a chance to review those, and if there are any issues?
I didn't read them. Yeah, I'll be honest.
Read
So
them.
Mary and...
I'm good.
You did? Well,
Okay.
Okay, so make a motion that we approve those, and Mike, you'll have to abstain.
yeah.
All right, where is it? Hold on.
The
Last on the
they are
agenda,
the
minutes.
August 22nd and September
from-
12th.
Yeah, so I make a motion to approve the minutes from August 22nd, 2024, and also the minutes from September 12th, 2024.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, make a motion to adjourn, Mike?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
All right,
Okay.
see you later.
Thank you
Bye.
all.
Good night.
When's our next?